parts, but the commitment to 100%, you know, it's what you can do towards the goal.
Yep.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you.
We'll be back in touch with you. And Gene, would you get the contact information for me? Do we go through you?
Yes, that would be fine. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on anything that's on their minds? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. City manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me start off by making sure everybody understands the holiday garbage collection. Because I'm sure you're going to get a call. It's been in the paper, it's in the newsletter coming out, but it still has some quirks. For the first time in a long time, the garbage company, our contractor, is allowing their employees off for Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day. And it's awfully hard to, we're just educating everyone to that because traditionally they've picked up on those days. You have a report in your agenda packet in the back, and I want to thank John Dillard and Les Gillis for putting it together for you since the last meeting. That, somewhere, it used to be, I assume it's back there. Yeah, no. It is in the packet, right, David?
It is.
Talking about what happened on South Palmetto with the flooding and the issue with the fluid backing up. There's a few homes down there. I think we've about got everybody that took the fluid with the backflow preventer now. Okay? We've made major progress. Ironically, 2 pumps that were ordered for the #1 lift station down there, the large one, came in, I think it was the day after, or 2 days after the hurricane. They said, I asked what are these? He said, those are the pumps that came in from. But the pumps were working that were in there. The new pumps will help it meet that headway. A lot of that is done. It's all on your list, and it will be done. I think what you need to take away from it, if you would, is that the ultimate culprit here is going to be flooding in the future. It involves a watershed that goes from the railroad track to the river. All of that is in this lift station 1. That's a large area. Regardless of what was said, the condos had nothing to do with it. Matter of fact, I believe they were down. They couldn't have. Okay. But I hope you're satisfied with it. Any questions you have, Mr. Dillard is available to address them. And if some people ask you about it, feel free to share it. It's of course public record. Our next meeting is scheduled for December the 12th. And I'm scheduled to be out of town Thursday and Friday, and I don't know when I'll be back. I don't mean that facetiously. It'll probably be Monday afternoon or Tuesday for a few days, and then I'm going to try to spend a little bit more time during the holidays out than in, but I'll be available, and I'll be sure to let you know, okay? And finally, on behalf of all your staff, we want to wish you and employees a happy holiday, safe holiday. I hope that whatever your plans are, that enjoy it. That's all I have.
Attorney's report.
Just wish everybody happy Thanksgiving.
Item 8 is tabled item. We bring that back up this go around, or leaving it alone?
I'd like to do anything with it. Probably won't be on the agenda next time, right, Joe?
I'll have to look at the date. I know it won't be there in January.
Right, okay.
All right. Moving on then, old business, if you would, Scott, ordinance 17-12.
Ordinance number 17-12 by title only for second and final reading. An ordinance of the City Council, City of South Daytona, Florida, amending section 10-1.2 to provide a waiver of right to contest a city citation and a presumption that violations exist if violator fails to pay, fine, or request special magistrate hearing, providing for severability, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date.
I need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, may I, at
Yes,
this
sir.
time, explain before we open the public hearing? This is not denying anyone that gets a parking ticket the right for due process. Simply saying, just ask us, so we don't have you on every code enforcement agenda. And that's all it's doing. If you ask, you're on the agenda, you'll be heard.
This is second reading on ordinance 17-12. It is a public hearing. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak for or against ordinance 17-12, now's your time to come up to the podium. Seeing and hearing none, I bring it back to the council. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10 is new business. Am I reading this or are you reading it? Consideration of renewing a banking contract with Wells Fargo under the terms and conditions as outlined by staff and utilizing Deerfield Beach, of which the contract will be piggy-banked for bidding compliance.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Not piggyback.
what we found out was
I'm sorry. Piggyback, not piggy-banked.
It is a bank, but it's...
Go ahead, Mr. Joe Rollins.
First of all, our contract has expired, and we looked at maybe bidding it out, and we looked at our service that we've received from Wells Fargo, and we said, you know what, we want to bank locally. There's only 2 in our city. We already have been using Wells Fargo. I've been using them, gosh, since they were, South Trust? Is that what it was? Years ago, folks?
Yes.
Through its evolution of Wachovia to Wells Fargo, and they've been responsive to us. We have a lot of notes with them. And we just couldn't find a real reason to warrant going out to bid. We know in order to award the contract, it's legal under state statutes for you to piggyback a legitimate bid, and that's what you're doing here. And we're recommending that's what you exercise the option under. If you have any questions, the finance director is here, and I'm here. He's in his wheelchair. He may have to address you from there, but we're open for any questions you may have.
There's a lot to be said for keeping it local.
Absolutely. Need a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Scott, if you would, resolution 17-26.
Resolution number 17-26, by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City of South Daytona, Florida, approving a local agency program supplemental agreement for the Big Tree Road shared use path with the Florida Department of Transportation and authorizing the city manager to execute said agreement, providing for repeal of resolution conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Need a motion?
Move to approval.
Okay,
Second?
got it.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, real quick. Right when you think you're done with DOT, they come back with more documents. This has absolutely zero fiscal note on your budget already approved. It's authorizing us, or you are authorizing staff to go ahead and execute, the mayor to execute the agreement.
I don't see any public hearing on this one, so any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 17-27, Scott.
Resolution number 17-27, by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Council, City of South Daytona, Florida, authorizing entering into a loan agreement with Compass Bank in the amount not to exceed $1 million for the purpose of financing the cost and expenses associated with cleanup and reconstructive efforts related to Hurricane Irma, as described herein, and paying costs related thereto, providing for obligations under the loan agreement, and the note shall be a limited obligation of the city payable from reimbursement from the Federal Emergency Management Agency and other state or federal agencies, and a subordinate lien on the net revenues of the city's water and sewer system as provided herein, providing for the rights, securities, and remedies for the lender, authorizing the private negotiated direct placement of the loan with the lender pursuant to the terms and conditions described herein, approving the form of the loan agreement and the note, making such determinations as are required to afford the note bank qualified status, authorizing other required actions, and providing an effective date.
Need a motion, please?
Move to approve?
Second.
Let me make a stab at letting you all understand everything that Scott, the attorney, just read. If you remember last year, we had a bridge loan very similar to this one for the Hurricane Matthew. It was for up to $1.5 million. And it was guaranteed with FEMA reimbursement. Well, everybody that was involved in that loan, including the city, particularly those holding the note, got very anxious when FEMA and the state, particularly the state, sat on FEMA's money so long before they released it. Good news is that a week or two ago, I think you got a copy of the email, we got enough money released with a couple $100,000 of the city's money, we satisfied the note. I think we received up to 80%, we got 20% still out there, which should be able to recover what we had expended. We're darn close to it. Lo and behold, that happened right after Irma hit. Irma's fiscal note a cleanup note appears, and restoration note appears to be less than what, or its intensity was less, or the debris removal at least was less than what we experienced with Hurricane Matthew. So instead of needing a bridge loan for $1 million and up to $1.5 million, we're asking for your authorization to approve up to $1 million. Hopefully it won't come out that much. And the difference is the last one had a 12-month called note, and this one has a 24-month. Now, so we're all also on the same page. It's a little different. After the newspaper published a number of articles where a number of cities were not getting reimbursed in a timely manner, everybody that's in the loan business got scared. And they said, look, we like you fine, but we got to guarantee this was something besides federal and state reimbursement and insurance reimbursement. And we ended up going to Compass, in part because Wells Fargo was taking too long, and they got really nervous because they had quite a few notes out there, as I understand it, with FEMA guaranteed on them. And we didn't want to obligate any general fund money, so we said, all right, how about some sewer and water revenues? And back and forth we went, and that's what your backup source of revenue is. But you're offering two houses instead of just one in case that one doesn't come through. Okay, so the bank feels better. Now, what else has changed? With the interest rate that we had last year for Hurricane Matthew's loan was about, it looks like, and we won't know for sure until this is placed, but it looks like it's going to be a little less than a point more. So I think we were looking at 0.9 if we had to guess at it, and you don't know it's wherever it's going that day. I hope they close before the Feds meet in December. And if they have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. Or Kevin's here, and I'm sure Scott's here. He's familiar with the loan document. All have signed off.
My only question was why not Wells Fargo? The answer.
Well, they were, I explained that, I hope.
Yes.
So question I have, and I picked up on the 2 years and I understand all that and stuff, so maybe more not so much about this issue, but just the overall FEMA reimbursement. Of course, I know, we thanked Senator Hudson the other day for his movement up there in Tallahassee. Give a little bit, why is the 20% still hanging out? Are they talking about things changing? I think it is wise to go out 24 months on this, but I would hope that we're going to see more progress so that it's sooner, not longer.
Right, let me try to
So
answer
philosophical,
methodically.
yeah.
First of all, I think we talked, and you said by the first year we expect maybe to get the other 20%. Is that right? Okay, so it's been found, it's been identified, and it's been bundled, and it's been sent. But that is right.
And if I may on that, is a lot of our fellow cities in the same boat? I know we were ahead of the curve in getting the 80. Are the other cities catching up?
Well, I don't know. I know that Ormond was still struggling, and New Smyrna was having a hissy, and there was only like 3 cities.
I know, that's what I thought. Right. Yeah, we were very lucky to get what we got.
Yeah,
Okay.
right, that early. And that was just persistent, talking to your lobbyist and talking to everyone and fussing and carrying on, and finally, they got tired of listening to us, and they said, here, give them some. But we have every reason to think that the process in place for our money, they are talking 90% reimbursement. Okay, that's good news. And we got substantially all of our filing, all of our cleanup done within the first 30 days, which I can't, less what you all did and code enforcement did in accomplishing that is this side of America. I mean, not to have any equipment, couldn't get any haulers, we're out there dump trucks and front end loaders and just picking it up ourselves. That wasn't an easy task. It was 6 and 7 days a week, but we made the 30-day period substantially. So I have every reason to think that there's a commitment from the state and the feds that this hurricane will be processed in a more expedient manner.
And that's a promise that you can't take to the bank.
That's funny, but that's true.
No, I was trying to be funny.
It is, it's true, you can't take that to the
No,
bank.
they weren't buying it, were they?
Well, Joe, and I just want to ask, because I noticed the bank fees and the extra costs are like approximately $25,000. Now, if FEMA does reimburse us for the loan, that doesn't count.
We
We eat that.
have it every note, if you remember, and every time it seems like you catch it.
Cost of a hurricane.
I hate those bank fees.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Nancy. It's irritating.
Anybody else?
If I remember right, Compass Bank was the other one in on the Matthew bid.
Was part of
No, but we did with Wells, but didn't Compass come in or?
We used it,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah, I knew they was there, thank you. I knew they were a player somewhere in that, so, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Scott, 1711, please.
Emergency ordinance number 17-11 by title only for first and only reading. An emergency ordinance of the City of South Daytona, Florida, amending ordinance 17-04, setting forth appropriation for revenues, expenses, and capital outlay for the following funds: General Fund, Police Confiscated Fund, Transportation Fund, Utility Service Fund, and Inter-Service Fund, as required by the City of South Daytona, Florida, during and for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2016, and ending September 30th, 2017. Adopting the operating capital budgets for the City of South Daytona, providing for severance, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date.
Need a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Yarborough?
Yes, good news is after this one, you will not be doing budget amendments or budget adoptions with 2 readings as a law anymore. You'll be doing it with referendum.
Resolution.
Resolution.
Referendum is not
You
good.
got me started. With the resolution, which would make it a little bit easier for you to tweak during the course of the year and record any changes that take place. There's 2 takeaways as I got it on this. You may have more. One is that there's obviously some changes than what we anticipated, which we wanted to be sure as a true-up is recorded in the budget for last year, to where it matches expenses. It would have and required 2 readings, but because of the hurricane, everything got screwed up, or we didn't get it to you in October. We had numbers out there. We just couldn't. Everything gets suspended after a hurricane. You can just about guarantee for 30 days. Finance is overwhelmed, code's out in the field. All we're doing is in disaster recovery mode. So what happened is we're asking you to adopt this under 1 reading. And number 2, the projections for your revenue at the end of this fiscal year ended up being a little less. You're almost 700,000. I know you want to get up to $1 million, and there's no reason you won't do that by the end of this fiscal year to be in compliance with your policies. And the other thing is that you got less debt. So it's, less overall per capita debt. We retired quite a bit last year. We required that $1.5 million still. I'd take on $1 million, but we'll have that sewn up, we're hoping, by then in this fiscal year. And the rest of it's tweaking in-house. If you have any questions, Kevin or I want to do our best. And remember, this is not this fiscal year. This is the matchup with the closing of last year. By the way, you also have a, is it in this one? I believe it is, the quarterly report. And I know that's a lot. We're going to try to make it a little shorter for your every quarter. That's like rehashing a budget again. But it's like the finance director said, let's start in detail. We can back off of it in summary.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 17-13, Scott.
Ordinance number 17-13 by title only for first reading. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of South Daytona, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article VA, Elections, creating a new Section 2-175, Campaign Treasurer's Reports and Electronic Campaign Filing of the City Code of Ordinances requiring filing of Campaign Treasurer Reports with the Volusia County Supervisor of Elections Office Electronic Filing System, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Need a motion, please?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's your overall.
It's here. You can file now electronically. A number of the cities, I suspect all the cities will probably go there in the county before it's over. For you all that are technically inclined, it's a blessing. For the rest, find somebody that is.
Hire a good campaign treasurer.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 17-14, Scott.
Ordinance number 17-14 by title only for first reading. An ordinance of the City Council, City of South Daytona, Florida, adopting a 6-month moratorium on locating wireless communications facilities, including small wireless facilities in a public right-of-way within the city limits, and establishing the fee for co-locating on city-owned utility poles at the maximum rate allowed by law, providing for severability, providing for conflicting ordinances, and providing an effective date.
Motion, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Yarborough.
Scott can help me with this if I'm there.
Well, are you going to do it?
Go ahead.
Well, if you remember, we retained a telecommunications expert to help us with the cell tower acquisition. He is also apparently one of the leading, there was a new law adopted by the legislature in July that appears to be allowing, and Joe may know more about the specifics, because I think he actually went to a presentation by the attorney we retained, that authorizes the co-location of, or the locating of these small cell antennas in right-of-ways. And basically, he's the one who contacted us and said, you guys need to do this, you need to adopt a moratorium, and then he's going to work with us to come up with new regulations. And we had that contact with him through the cell tower acquisition. He was the expert on there. And I haven't been to one. I've read the presentation that Joe went to, but Joe may be able to explain exactly what these antennas are. But
First of all, our code needs to be in position to accommodate it. We didn't dream of that coming along, I guess. And some of these boxes are like those Bell South boxes in the ground, except they could be hung up. And we'd like to have some input on where they can be located. We anticipate a lot of changes or some tweaking coming down the road this year on this ordinance from our state legislature. And a matter of fact, I got something, an email the other day where there's the feds have got a bill in there that is saying that it has to be accomplished within a certain amount of time and taking everyone out of it. It doesn't seem to have any legs. I can't remember the senator's name that sponsored the bill, but I'd say the senator was heavily lobbied by the telecommunication industry. So, you know, this 6 months, we hope to have it done. We may not. And while we're on that, as an aside, we got the signed copy of T-Mobile back finally. We're still working with AT&T, but they've shown a renewed interest. It seems we quit giving them keys to the tower, or access to the tower, until they finalized the lease. So it came through like within 2 days with T-Mobile, and AT&T's now trying to hurry up and finalize theirs. So hopefully we'll have that by December, next meeting. I'm expecting it this one, but there's still some quirks. That was a lucrative agreement, a lucrative lease, yeah. reimbursing the city for its costs.
And the delay doesn't really benefit them because the lease that we've submitted to them, just like the T-Mobile lease, is retroactive back to, the increased lease payment goes retroactive back to the date that we became the owner of it, so.
Oh, and as a side on telecommunications, also, I got an email, and I don't know if I shared it with you or Scott or not, from somebody out of California wanting to know if we were interested in selling the tower.
I did see that, yeah.
I said, not until after the first of the year, and got our leases. But, you know, it is a lucrative little old enterprise.
Oh, good. Excellent. Well, as far as this is concerned, I mean, I think this is a smart thing to do. There's a lot of moving parts with this, and some of these small antennas are not so small, you know, and there's a lot of confusion, and then now the feds want to preempt the state. I mean, it's, so let the dust settle and see where we're at.
And I agree. We kind of got to that point. Thought we could handle it, and just more,
Yeah.
you know, further you went in that rabbit hole.
The more you look into it, the
Yeah.
more confusing it gets.
It is an area where you need expertise in the field to understand the terminology and what you can and can't do. And so we're fortunate to have that consultant with us already who tipped us off that we needed to do this.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11 on the agenda is unscheduled council member comments. Vice Mayor, can we start with you today?
Sure. A couple things. Got the opportunity to speak on behalf of the city and on Volusia League of Cities at the Volusia delegation a couple weeks ago, so that was nice.
Good job.
Thank you. Go kiss the ring and do our thing. But no, there was, listen, we're in a good place, I think, within our representation in Tallahassee, and we know this is going to be, we're probably all getting the memos already, it's going to be a war up there in Tallahassee with the cities and stuff, so it is, I think, important to go kiss the ring, so, but we do have some good advocates for us in that delegation, so all that. I want to thank, we got the League of Cities, Volusia League of Cities final meeting coming up at the end of the month, I believe, in Daytona Beach, at our neighboring city, and so that'll be my last meeting for the year, so thank you to the city and the council for your support as I've taken on that role, and then I get to move on to the best role there is, which is past president. And I'm personally happy Thanksgiving to everyone and their families, and that's all I got.
Thank you.
Well, to remind everybody about Grillers Gone Wild on Saturday, so that looks like it's going to be a very successful, and I don't know whose taste, and I declined to taste, but I'll be there to
I filled your
eat.
chair.
Did you fill my chair? All right, well, thank you, Bill. Also, I just want to thank Kevin for the complete, very detailed financial reports you've been giving us. I appreciate that. And also to Les and John, because this really broke it down nicely concerning the residents who suffered the damage down there. So I really appreciate that. This gives us something to relate to our constituents. So, and again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. So that's all.
Councilwoman O'Neill.
Happy Thanksgiving. Have a safe and happy one. That's it.
Sean?
Very good report on flooding. Excellent. A lot of work went into it, obviously. And I think it pretty much lays the facts out, the way it happened. Thank you.
I'd like to echo what everybody else has already said, but also on a personal note, this is my first year up here. I want to thank y'all for steering me in the right direction 99% of the time. 1% I'll leave to the guy on my right. Some days I wonder who's steering who, but anyway, I appreciate it. My bride, thank you for putting up with all this for the last year, and we only got 3 more years to go, so hey, meeting's adjourned.
This report's electronically.
That's right.
I was already healed.
Wow.
So it didn't they lay down?
I missed last year, so I need some renewal. Coach me about it. Oh, yeah?
Those are, all those
Well, that'll be awesome.
yes.
Oh, good, I can, so I can check it out. All right, we'll see you Saturday.
I know we started on it.